Can I just say, people are strange, and when you have an enigma like the British royal family, conspiracies tend to flow, seeing as we can only see the face that they make public to the world, but can we really know what happens behind the doors of Buckingham Palace? Probably not in totality. Makes sense, we've all got secrets, but most of these conspiracies don't really make as much sense, so today, here are 5 creepy, dark, and in some cases downright strange conspiracies following this most prestigious of families. From that time, an ex-soccer player turned New Age philosopher accused the royals of being reptilian aliens, to connecting Prince Albert Victor to the murders of Jack the Ripper. It's wild. Let's get started. But first, welcome to Creepycasettiyt, your place for horror in reality and beyond. I am your host, Dee, and if this sort of content is interesting to or entertaining to you, please hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell so you know every time I drop another video. And please share because it really helps the channel and it's free, so why not? Without further ado, let's get into it. Number 5, Prince Charles the Vampire. This conspiracy started in 2011 when Prince Charles promoted a TV show inspired by Romania's Transylvania. During the promotion, he mentioned that he has an ancestral link with the infamous savage Vlad Dracul, or Vlad the Impaler. Vlad was a voivode, and if I'm mispronouncing that, I am so sorry, of Wallachia from 1448 to his death in 1476 or 77. It's not clear. If you didn't already know, Vlad was actually the inspiration for Dracula. He gets the title of Impaler from his most used method of execution, racking people up on spikes and letting them slide down slowly with their own body weight. This guy had tens of thousands of executions under his belt. I really don't know that I would want to admit to that. Well, because Prince Charles owns a home in Romania and mentioned the link, people started saying that he was really a vampire. But to be fair, the prince had a stake in the future of Romania's forests and its conservation efforts, and he decided to promote the show to bring attention to those forests in an effort to protect them. I stand a good historical conspiracy as much as the next person, but this one's a little outlandish. We can't really go around calling people vampires because they have murderous ancestors and show a little interest in that same ancestor's homeland. Number 4, Elizabeth II, extraterrestrial reptilian queen. Ooh, aliens. In this conspiracy, David Icke, ex-professional soccer player turned New Age philosopher, suggests that all the royal families of the world derive their power from intermingling their bloodlines with the reptilian race of extraterrestrials from the Alpha Draconis star system. He authored an entire book meant to connect various religious texts and symbols, commercial marketing, and famous individuals to some really horrific stuff, with the understanding that the extraterrestrial ancestors are of an evil nature. He tries to give the conspiracy merit by mentioning it was the reason behind all the centuries of inbreeding that some royal families engaged in. It was a way for them to retain those alien powers. He formed the basis of the theory after speaking with others who told anecdotes about seeing people shift from reptiles to humans. What makes this particular conspiracy even creepier is that he states they are able to retain the human form by drinking human blood. It's believed the original aliens have stuck around living underground and still have their scaly fingers in various international events and media. David Icke believes that aliens are behind the Freemasons, the Illuminati, and that they have had a hand in the decisions of world governments since ancient times. Number 3, Prince Albert Victor, the Ripper. This theory wasn't even exposed until 84 years after Prince Albert Victor's death, which means he didn't even have the opportunity to defend himself. The conspiracy debuts in the book The Ripper, The Final Solution by author Stephen Knight. 2 theories are suggested to support this conspiracy. The first suggests that the prince went mad after contracting syphilis from a lady of the night while he was in the West Indies. It is said that because he wasn't thinking clearly, he decided to start butchering prostitutes as a means for revenge. The Ripper's MO was a means for the royals to hide his crimes. The second theory suggested was the prince had a secret marriage and love child with a Catholic girl, not of royal blood. This supposedly angered the royals, and so they had everyone with knowledge of the union and secret love child killed. There are problems with both theories. The first being that royal records don't place the prince in London at the time of the murders. The second being that none of the victims had any link to the royals or anyone who did have a direct link to them. Not saying that records can't be tampered with, just that if people are drawing this theory only as early as 1976 and there's no hard and fast historical evidence to lend credence, it's fair to say that this one is a throwaway. Number 2. Royal family had Princess Diana unalived. The people's princess, the benevolent and beautiful Princess Diana, met her ends on August 31st, 1997 from a fatal car collision. Diana, her boyfriend al-Fayed, and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones were traveling through the Pont d'Alma underpass in Paris, France. The car, driven by Henri Paul, deputy head of security for the Hotel Ritz, where the couple had previously been staying and dining, crashed into a pillar in the tunnel. Dodi and Paul were pronounced dead at the scene of the accident, while Diana was wheeled off to the hospital in an ambulance, where she entered cardiac arrest and had to be resuscitated. Those efforts were successful, however, she later died at the hospital. Trevor Rees-Jones was the sole survivor of the accident, though he did not make it out unscathed as he was badly injured and retained scars from that day. Following the death of Diana and Dodi's father, Muhammad al-Fayed, suggested that the royal family was actually behind their deaths. He stated that because Dodi was an Egyptian Muslim and would potentially become the stepfather of England's future king, as Diana was the mother of Prince William and Prince Harry, Prince Charles and the royals wanted to dispose of. He also stated that the night of the accident, Dodi proposed to Diana and that she was even pregnant. People close to Diana stated that she never mentioned the engagement nor any mention of a pregnancy. When the autopsy was performed just a few hours later, the doctors did not check for pregnancy since her death was due to an accident and not natural causes. She was embalmed at 2 p.m. that day. Al-Fayed even suggested that the quick embalming was to keep people from finding out about the pregnancy. An investigation by a French judicial committee and Operation Paget, an inquest performed by the British Metropolitan Police, determined that the royal family didn't have anything to do with it. What really caused the accident was the fact that Henri Paul was heavily intoxicated, 3 times the legal limit for France, and antidepressants and antipsychotics were also found in his system. These types of drugs can exacerbate the symptoms of drunkenness. The paparazzi may have also contributed to the accident as they had been following the couple all night, and some were even driving erratically to catch the shot, including photographers on motorcycles. In the end, a few members of the paparazzi ended up being arrested and all footage of the incident were confiscated. I think it's also important to note that Operation Paget wasn't actually established until 2004, 7 years after the accident took place. The inquiry results weren't published until 2006. Number 1. Cannibal Queen and Kamloops. This conspiracy is probably the darkest of them all. Remember that theory about the whole drinking blood or became human form thing? Well, here's another branch of that strange theory. After the horrifying discovery of at least 215 bodies of indigenous school children as young as 3 years old were found in June of 2021 near the site of what used to be Kamloops Residential School in British Columbia, Canada, Kamloops was one of the largest residential schools with a history of atrocities on Native school children, indigenous children who had already been stripped from their parents under the guise of education. William Arnold Combs, who was reported victim of the Kamloops school, reported that he remembers the Queen and Prince Philip taking 10 children away from a picnic in 1964. He states those 10 children were never seen again. The rumor is that they were eaten, but 2 things. First, there's no record of the Queen ever visiting the school. She visited the city of Kamloops twice, once in 1954 and another time in 1977 after the school had already been closed. Another thing, the only records I could find for William Arnold Combs came from Kevin Annette's platform. Kevin Annette is a disgraced ex-pastor turned conspiracy theorist. I did also find an obituary as he was, according to Kevin Annette, killed when he went into the hospital February of 2011 for a simple procedure so that he could not testify against the Queen. Third thing, another blog spot for a website that I can no longer find says that Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were found guilty in the disappearance of the 10 children by the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State. It also stated that an arrest warrant was issued by the Common Law Court of Brussels. However, neither are recognized governing bodies. As a matter of fact, any time you find the names of these alleged governmental bodies, it is entirely tied to conspiracy theories and Kevin and Annette. While I'm not going to say that the royals are incapable of doing terrible things, some of these theories are really out there. I'm inclined to hold space for outrageous theories, but I just can't believe some of these. I honestly believe conspiracy theories find a place in our culture because we like to think of the worst of people who have the most, which makes sense when you have the kind of money and influence to literally get away with murder. It almost makes that whole dark road your oyster. But I like to look at the best in people, at least until they give me a reason not to. Let me know in the comments if there are any theories that I should have made it to this list. Also, do you believe any of these theories, and are there any sources you found that might back up your thoughts? I'll be here and looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. In the meantime, have a smashing day, darlings, and I will see you all in 2 weeks for another video. Bye!